okay, to recap from yesterday's part, so we have seen like how we have installed the UiPath. And also we have seen that how the the OCR things can be used and made a complete product with RPA. And then comes the ML and AI part. And as I said like yesterday, this entire tool is built on a .NET platform. So the libraries that is used by Microsoft anywhere, like in C, C++, VB.NET, everything. So you can freely access that libraries here. Okay, and then as I said, like all your project wise, your process wise. Okay, so first comes the OCR part. That's where we do the extraction of the data from the it can be a structured templates, unstructured template, and then using the help of RPA and intelligent processes, we feed the data to the any of the applications that where we want to store our data with. Fine. So today is the first, okay, and also we spoke about the architecture part yesterday. We have three components in UiPath. One is UiPath Orchestrator, the other one is UiPath Studio, and the UiPath Robot. So in UiPath Studio, that is where we do all the design, development, testing, everything. In the UiPath Orchestrator, it's like your control system, or it's your dashboard that gives you each and every information as and when we do the processes on the orchestrator, and the robot is just a connector between your orchestrator and your studio. So it does the execution part.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So now we'll start with a complete tool overview. As I said, I'll give you each and every information, like what is given in the tool, what is the purpose of it, even before we go to the actual topics.
Okay.
Okay. So now, okay. So very first thing, see when we install a UiPath, right? So this is where you get to a home screen. So now here the first option is open. So any project that you're going to create in UiPath, right? It will always go to My Documents UiPath folder. If I go here in your My Documents, you will have some folder got created automatically here called UiPath. So inside which all your processes, project, whatever you create, right, will remain inside this folder. Even if you uninstall your UiPath, right, this files will never go. You can even refer it anytime in future. Or you can migrate to another machine and you can use it.
Oh,
so this
okay.
is the default path where your processes get created. Okay, so that is what this opens is. Suppose you want to like open any existing project that you have created, and if I click on open, see here, it takes you to My Documents. Now, once we create some process, it will have a UiPath folder. So inside which all our projects will stay. No other location. It's a straightforward location. The only location that we are going to deal with UiPath. So suppose we create one project and we want to close it, right? So either we close it from here or we can close it from here. So this will completely close the tool. This close will close your current project. You will come back to the same screen.
So basically
Okay,
it stores in the local drive, not in any of the shared drives or in any of the cloud, right?
No, it's all in your
local drive.
Local drive.
Okay.
So let's
do we
see
have
that.
an option to set any other drive, whichever we like?
Yeah, we can. So
Okay.
in the settings, we'll come to that also if you want to change.
Oh.
Okay. So now, so this is among all these options, right? So this is our main tab where we frequently come. So you have something called open, new project. Here are some of the templates given by UiPath. And once we start creating project, right, the most recent projects will be listed here. So instead of opening, if you click, you can directly access from here also.
Oh, okay.
So we will even see that. So now we have something called open. So you can see this open and open a local project, both are same. If you click on that, it will again take you to My Documents UiPath folder. This clone or checkout, right? This is a different. This actually comes from all your repositories. So
Okay.
if you remember yesterday by installing, we got three options: SVN, TFS, and Git.
Yeah.
So these are the three repositories that is easily, what we say, connected with UiPath. So based on your organization, right, they can select any one of this. Most of the organization has SVN. So yeah, I'm not sure if you have observed it, but in your office machines, if you simply right click and you can see send to SVN option will be there.
So what is this SVN called? What are these basically?
See,
Version
all
control.
these three are, version control. See, all these are service
Version controls.
providers. See, these three all are service providers.
Okay.
Okay. So now what all this does is it's an online repository, like how we have online cloud, right?
Mhm.
Suppose, see, we know that, we have some important photos that we want to keep for our memory. So what we do is we sometimes keep in our computer memory, but we are very sure that none of the things can become permanent. Our memory can crash. So we keep in an external hard drive also. But that is also like prone to crashes. So what we do, we store this in a Google Cloud. So in your Google Cloud, you at least are sure that Google manages and you don't lose your data. So now every file that you create, right, in the anywhere, it can be a machine or your cloud, you will have some file name, right? And file name has to be unique. You cannot have two same file name in any place. So same way, see, every day we work, a project might remain same for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, but you daily cannot keep on overriding. Sometimes you want a previous backup also. There may be something you did wrong today, but till yesterday it was working. So we basically maintain in all the softwares version control. That means today at the end of the day when I leave my office, right, I upload my files to the repository. So to the version left is 1. So tomorrow when I continue, right, I will take this file and continue my process. So after that, when I continue today at the end of the day again, I will, when I check in, right, the version will become 2. Same way it will become 3 next day. So what happens is on the very first day, what was your process? Second day, what was that? You can retain everything.
Okay.
That is how we do for all the softwares. And this version control comes with all your features like, okay, when was it last modified? Who modified? Okay, every details will be provided in that. In some of the softwares that we use, it will even automatically compare difference between yesterday and today's changes. You don't even have to, go back and think of it, what was the changes done. So everything will be done automatically by the softwares. So usually what happens is if we have our online repositories like this, right? See, till yesterday you are working on something, or it can be any employee. And all of a sudden, right, they are on a leave today. It might be a sick leave, personal leave, anything. Now, because it's unplanned, they might be not able to connect to the machine also. They might have, not be at home. They might be going somewhere, whatever it may be. So now, your manager says that it is critical for them to deliver. So if at all you have online repositories, right, it's a global access. Anybody can access it. So what happens is you can, if at all you know everything about what he is or she is working, take the file from there, continue the design and submit it by the end of the day. You will have a continuity in your process. There is no interruptions. That is one thing. And second thing is, see, you are working on some big projects. It might take 6 months, 8 months to finish it. Now, as I said, if you don't use online repositories, right, you store everything in your local drive. All of a sudden, at the end of the 5th month, right, your machine got crashed or your hard disk got crashed. You could not return everything. So what happens? You lose completely everything, right? which is very, very risky for any organization. They can never afford to lose even a single day's data. That is why they maintain this repository. So these repositories are like, see, they don't have only one source of backup. See, if you take an example for a bank, right? So let's take one real-time example. See, in a bank, right? You can go and deposit amount in any branch. It will still reflect in your account. Suppose your that particular branch, what we say, branch is closed, or their network is down, but your global SBI will still give you realistic, your balance details, everything about your account. It's not that in the bank where we are maintaining our account, right? If that goes down, our entire the data will be gone, right? So that's very, very risky. Like the banks will, if they don't know what was your credit, debit, everything, then it's like a loss to bank. So what they do is they have 3 to 4, like in a major organization, they have 3 to 4 repositories for everything. So every 1 minute or every 15 minutes, okay, they sync their data irrespective from where it is coming. Once you do a transaction, it is synced to all their 4 repositories. So their repository can be like, in multiple places. It can be in India, it can be in Singapore. They keep in multiple places. It can be in UK, it can be in US. They keep real-time servers in different places. So, so if your any one of the server goes down, right, or 2 of your server goes down, they can still pull the information from the other servers. That is what we call it as business continuity. And all this concept came from where, it came when this World Trade Center attack happened, right? Yes. That was one of the real learning. There were so many companies in that, the Twin Towers, where we would have never thought about it, right? Nobody would have ever thought it. So what happened? Many companies had their databases, their servers, everything inside that. Now, the moment towers got crashed, right, they had no backup at all. If your towers got crashed, you lost everything. It's a huge loss to the business. And that is why they have started this. So even if our, what we say, one of the servers are down or one of the repositories down, instantly it can, it's designed in such a way that you can pull the information from any place. That is why every company will have some or the other repositories. Okay. So from there you want to get your code, right? Then you can use this clone or a checkout. See here, it will take you to all the 3 repositories. So in a real time, right? In real time, once you have a license for this, your status will be connected and you can access it, each and every information. See, for example, if I show this, see here, it will be connected to server. So once you are connected, it will show you all the details. What are the files in it? What are the folders? What are the, whatever it can be. Every information will be stored here. So this is how in real time all the companies maintain it. If you want to try, right? Sorry.
So basically, you can save either in TFS or in SVN or in GIT, correct?
In UiPath, these are the 3 choices we have.
So either one of that we can utilize.
Yes, either one of that depends on your organization where they want to, based on their entire organization's infrastructure, they opt for the license.
Okay.
So if you want to try this, right, so you can use this GitHub. There is something called GitHub, which is like a free version on the web. You can see there, like, lots of people might have, updated their data, which is like, you can make something public, you can keep something private, all such things you can do. And same is applicable here also. If something you want to keep private to your team, you can do that. If you want to, everybody in organization to access, you can do that. So if at all you are stored there, then this clone or checkout will help you to get it from there. So usually we use these 2 terms. I'm not sure if you're aware of. So we call it as check-in and checkout. So check-in is like you are sending the data to the repository. And checkout is like retrieving the data. So this is what they call like check-in or checkout. There's a business term, if at all you come across, this is what they mean, like,
Yeah.
whether they want to retrieve or they want to send the data. Okay, so these are the ways for us to open any existing project that is stored somewhere else. Now, we have something called new project. So whenever you want to create a new project, right, you will have to create from here. Okay, so your one project can have multiple files, multiple process files.
Just a quick question, Melanie.
Yes, yeah.
See, let's assume that we are working on a project from the company, from an organization perspective. Now,
Yes.
and I believe that this is also the version that it can be done for 2 years, right? This license.
Yes, yes.
Now, I want to come back and work on this, so the project which I'm working at the organization, and then I'll be able to make those changes in my local thing out here by just getting that data. Is it that
Yes.
simple?
Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible.
Yes, yes. So that is why this usually we don't, do anything to this My Documents folder. See, it's just like how you can zip this and share it, right? It's as simple as that. You can zip your code and send it to anybody. Or as we said, like using this repository also, we can share it. We
And the same
publish the
thing-
code. Sorry, go ahead.
The same thing can be, got back into the, checked in back into the organization. And obviously the version control is there, which shows you the last username and the changes that has been made.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So I'll show you once we create one project, right? I'll show you how the files will be and how you can share it with across your any team, any friends, however you want it. Okay. So now, see, it is like this. Your one folder, right? Inside one folder, you can have multiple photos. You can even have one photo, but you group it, right? Same way, your one project, right? It can have multiple process files. We usually split the process. See, for example, you're automating like a very big process for a bank. So you have a separate division for credit card, separate for debit card, separate for loan processing. So what you do is you design separate processes for them, and you combine inside a single bank. So that is what a project is. A project is like, either a combination of your small files, or it can be a single file as well. But to create a new project, this is the only option. So you'll have to come and click on this. So it will ask you two things: the name of your project and the description. So if I say name wise, I'll say like my first project. So your project name should be without spaces. It cannot have any space. If I keep some space and if I type, it will become, it will not allow me to create it. Okay, and as I said, see, this is your default path. You can change it wherever you want. This is one way of changing. And I'll tell you the other way also. And you can give any description that you want, right? See, this way. Description is anything of your choice. That's not mandatory even if you don't update it, but project name is important. So you can see I'll click on create. So I'll tell you what it does this once we go inside. Once we come to respective section, I'll tell you what it is doing here in its memory.
You have created, right, now one process?
Yes, I have created a process. We just have to give name and description and click on create.
Is there any restriction between licensed version and this community edition?
No.
No.
Everything remains same. No change in your layout, nothing. Okay, so this is how your tool will exactly look like. And this is where we do all the design. And as I said yesterday, now you can see here, we have 3 tabs. Home, okay, that's where you can go to your main. This is your design section. And if I click on debug, this is your debug section. Nothing else. It is that simple too. Okay, so you can see this is where the white space in between you can see, right? That is where we are going to do the design. So now if you go and look back here, right? So you have a UiPath folder, okay? And you can see your project, whatever name we have given, that project wise, all your folders will be listed here. And inside that, you will have all the respective project files. So if you want, you can zip this, share it with anybody. Okay, if you want only to share an individual file, as I said, you are designing a credit card, debit card, loan process. You only want to share debit card. Take a debit card file and share it. It's that simple as that. Or you have an option to create a zipped file of an entire project using a publish option. So we'll come to that. So it will also automatically zip your project and you can share it. Is that what answer your question, Kiran?
Yeah, that's right. That should be okay. It's just that how big are these files that are obviously that cannot be transported? I mean, cannot be.
Usually it will be in KBs or MBs. It will not exceed that. Whatever might be your design. Here it's always in KBs. Max, if you have too much for design in that file, it will become MB. That's it. But it will never go to GBs.
Within the organization also, this is the same way too.
Yes.
Publish and send it across, right?
Yes. So usually if your project is too big, right, your entire this folder will become max 25-30 MB. That's it, not more than that. I have never seen a project's file going up to 100 MB at all. It's all within less than 100 MB.
Okay. And this is my first project. The name you're talking about tomorrow when we open it, it becomes project version 1.
No. So here, see, currently we don't have license. In the community edition, we don't have license.
Right.
See, we cannot connect it. So it will not change the version and all. It will remain as it is here.
Okay.
See here,
okay.
It will remain as it is. So now if you want to open tomorrow, you have 2 options. You can go to open. Okay. So you can go to that respective project, change here from workflow project file to anything of this workflow files. You will see main. So main is always the starting point of the project. So you'll have to select main and click on open. This is one way, or as I said, you will always have a recent projects listed here. If you click on this also, it will open your project.
Okay. And if you have to go to our previous, without the changes one, that option is not available in the community version. That's what you're trying.
Because we don't have this, what do we say?
License.
Online repositories configured, right?
No, I didn't get his question. His question is previous projects we cannot go.
No. See, yesterday we have designed something. Okay, so as we said here, like we usually in our organization, we keep the version controlling. Like this.
Yeah.
For every day, we keep a version controlling.
Correct.
So here, like the question is, today it will become 1, tomorrow it will become 2. Is that in the community edition? But see here, we are not working as a team here. We are going to work as an individual user. So when we are working in a team, right? So that is where this version controlling comes into picture. Because see, usually what happens is people will fight. Okay, if something goes wrong, then people will say that no, I have not done this. It was not my idea. All that process will start. That is why companies have to have versioning control. And that is why all this information is required. See, when we are solely working on our project, right, we don't have to blame anybody. That is why we don't even have to worry about version control.
Even if you want to save it, so it can be done manually. For example, I've done some changes today, and I can use the same thing for, let's say, multiple projects. So I'm just naming it as version 1, and that version 1 can be cloned to any other projects that I start off. So I can start it off from there. So can I change out the name as well?
Yes, yes. Yeah, there's, see, that is what is this next is library.
Okay, okay.
What you see here, library, right? Library and the templates, both are the same. Whatever you asked the question.
Okay, all right, okay.
So library is what? Okay, so I'll take that next. See, what is a library? Library is like the process that remains common for everybody. For example, I'll take a best example in your organization. All the employees, irrespective of whatever task they do, submitting their timesheet, right? Weekly timesheet is everybody's task is common. The only process that changes is your login part and the activities for which you're going to fill your time. Correct?
Yeah.
So you can design a process to launch your that particular browser, go to that URL, enter your credential. That remains common for entire organization. So you can make that as a library process. Then the respective person, right, against which they want to update their task, right, and the number of hours, that only that component changes. So there is no redesign, nothing, no. So entire organization, like 1,000 people don't have to do the same thing 1,000 times. One person can do, you can make it as a library and others can accept it. Okay, and that is what you can see here. This you can see snippets, right? This is nothing but your libraries. Common libraries that you can use anywhere. Sorry?
So you can call out from these libraries is what you're trying to say.
Yes, yes. So you see, it's like this. Suppose I want to add a delay in my process. Okay. So I have seen so many times of delay. For example, UiPath assumes that this is the one that you might require commonly. So they have added in a library. Now you create any project, right? Any project, any process, you will always see this library. And yesterday where we went to orchestrator, right? There also we have library. So what you can do is you call that library, it will automatically do the task for you. You don't have to design it.
Okay. From an organization perspective, this library will be locked?
No, it's open for all. So library is like this. See, okay, I'll tell you the real-time example. See, we have
reusable components.
Sorry, yeah, all are reusable components.
Yeah.
See, suppose we go to a book library. Okay, there we might have lakhs of books. One person can refer the same book, or two persons refer the same book. Okay, the purpose of both of them is same, to read the book, but one person might take a notes down from first 5 chapters. The second person will take a notes down from the remaining 5 chapters. Correct? I guess somebody got dropped off. Just let's wait. I think Kuber got dropped off.
Was that Kuber?
Yeah, I guess he got disconnected. He's back. Kuber, you're back?
I'm back. Just lost the connectivity. I don't know what happened.
No problem. Okay. So what I was saying was, so in a library, right, two person refers the same book. So book is common for both, correct? So what, the way you read it, the way you take down the notes, that's what is going to vary. Same way, your libraries are same. They all are reusable. The way you use it, right, that is only what going to change your use of library. The library will always remain here. See, you can simply pull here and add a delay of 1 second. If you want to make this 2 seconds, you simply change the time to 2 seconds here. So your library is still the same. The way you use it becomes varying.
So what is this delays and all? 1 second, 10 and all.
Yeah, so this is like, like, see, suppose you're working on some process and, it's taking time to load. See, the robots are like, they are designed to run at the fastest pace.
Mm-hmm.
So if at all you feel that your browser is taking more time to load, then you have to add delays. So delays are nothing but you make the computer to wait. If a human being means, we can come to know that I have to wait if my browser is not loaded. But machines are not designed to, understand that. That is why we have to add delays.
So what is that it is going to happen in case if I'm adding delay like 10 seconds or 3 seconds, what it does?
Yeah, so we'll come to that. So that
Okay.
will, your computer will keep waiting. In that meantime, it will not do any operation. It will wait for 2 seconds, then it will proceed to next step. It's just like it remains ideal for that time period.
How do you decide that the
Correct.
browser is going to time?
Take 10
Correct.
seconds. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that will vary. See, once you design your process, right? Okay. We see the design part is the easiest part in automation. The question that you asked, right, that comes basically when we do testing. See, designing, as I said, it's very easy. So when you do testing, right, usually in a normal software, we might be testing 20 to 25 times. So here we usually test 40 to 45 times. Why it is so, I'll tell you. See, let's take example of IRCTC. You will never have a consistent timings, right? Some days it might be really good, some days it might be really bad. So when we design, right, maybe we design on a good days. So a process was designed to work in a fastest time. Now all of a sudden, right, due to heavy load, the processing time got increased. But your robot is not designed to keep on waiting for that delays, right? So what you do is when you test, right, you identify the average time taken to load that page. In a best case, in a worst case scenario. Based on that, you add a delays. So even if it's a best or it's a worst, your process will still keep on working.
But how do I know whether it takes 10 seconds or at 15 seconds?
That will come, we'll come to know.
Okay.
I'll tell you where, how do we identify all that.
Okay.
Milan, my question still remains with respect to the library creation. So is there a standard, only standard set of things can be created in the library, I suppose, right? Because
No, it
otherwise
can be
everyone's
anything.
going to,
It can be anything.
then how are you going to control with respect to anyone creating anything in the library, and it becomes a place of junk data as well?
But see, it's like this. See, in a library, right, in a book library store, you might have 1 lakh book. To me, it's only the 1,000 are important. To you, the 2,000 are important. Still, some 95, 96,000 books are left as it is, right? So different people might have different use. But see, again, as I said, this is not going to consume your space. And if you want to utilize, if you don't want, you leave it as it is. As I said, the rest of the 95,000 book, we are not even going to touch in our lifetime. So it doesn't make any difference to us whether it's their part of a library or not. If it's useful to me, I take it. If not, we don't even take even a single book. If I'm not interested in any books, right, I am not going to even touch base it. Same applicable here. So if I don't want to use it, right, I want to design in my way, I don't take it also. This remains as it is. It's not even going to harm us.
So the library is for a project individual, or is it going to be a library, for any project, and whatever library we have created, it always comes and, shows up?
No, can you repeat your question? Library?
For example, now you're creating a new project.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm adding all into the new library. I'm creating a new library as well. Now I open a next project and open. So the same set of library, functions appear in that as well, or is going to be individual for a particular project?
No. Library is like under this snippets, right? So you create n number of projects. This will be always visible. See, this particular library, whatever you add, right, it will always be visible, irrespective of any project. That is what is a library, right? Say library means it's common everywhere. It's
No,
not only specific to this particular project.
no, I think what
But-
his question is, if I am creating any library for one particular project, so yeah, again in this subsequently, if I create some more projects, so can I classify those two projects into this library?
Yes, yes, you can do. Like, see, suppose.
No, I'm talking from a security perspective. For example, I'm working for different clients, and then these are the set of library creation for one particular thing.
Yes.
I've noticed this in other tools as well, because that is why the administrator comes into the picture as well, because he
Correct.
controls the entire library, and this is certain functions that can be, because nothing apart from this library cannot, and this cannot be used in other projects as well. So
Okay.
from that
Yeah.
demarcation, how do we have this? Because these are the kind of questions from the client perspective also. That is why I'm asking.
Correct, correct. See, okay. So I'll tell you.
Correct.
See, the library that comes in your tool, right? It is only specific to you. Only you can use for n number of your clients. Nobody in your organization can touch base these libraries. If you want to share it for your organization, then you have to go here. So I'll show you that. We have two places where we can, store this. Here, they have, okay. See here you can see something called libraries. So this is your organization-wide libraries. Anybody can access it. They have to call this particular file. Okay, how do we call a function, right? Same way you have to call this file. So they get a result in their machine. They don't have to see this library specifically what is done inside that. Whereas what you do it in your machine, right? This automatically doesn't go here until you send it. So this is only to you. See, suppose you designed today one project for SBI. You felt that what is common, right? You put it in your library. Tomorrow in the same tool, you design one more for HDFC. So you can see that library again of SBI in HDFC, but nobody else in your team can also see. So this is specific to your machine. This is there in your local structure, not somewhere else. So this doesn't go anywhere. See, suppose I create new, right? It adds only in your machine. It doesn't go to a common pool.
Right.
Is that
Option
what
in
your
library for a public use and private use?
sorry?
Public, it can be in within the project, anybody can pick up if it is suiting the requirement.
In a project means it will come here. If it's a public, it will
And
come
these are
here.
locked as well, and you can lock these as well.
Yes. Usually, see, I will tell you, usually, as I said yesterday, if you come to users, if you come to roles, right, we restrict user-wise who can access which screens. Though it's a library, we don't give everybody access. Even see, if I want only one person to see the job screen, they cannot see any screen. That is also possible. Even if all your screens are there, right, they can't even run a process. That much security control is given in UiPath. You can make a read only. If somebody wants to see what is the name here, they can see. They can't even go to a detail section. So such a level of information you can control. So all that comes here. See, if I go to users, if I go to roles, okay. So you can see here administrator, right? Okay. If you go to administrator, you can see everything permissions are given for you to view, edit, create, delete. See all your structure wise also, see whatever screens you're seeing. So if you want somebody only to view, you can't even edit, create, delete, you can give a view permission. If you don't want them to see this at all, right? You don't want to see them, just remove the every check mark. It will not even come, though your UiPath is having that. For them, that is a complete unknown feature. For them, it's as equal as that it doesn't even exist.
Okay.
So this everybody don't have what we say permissions. This is only specific to your admins, and you will have to see here in your library, right? See, here is it. Remove everything. You as the admin, you can see. So by default, you are as an individual user, right? You are an admin. Now suppose somebody joins in your team, right? You can uncheck all these flags that you don't want them to permission. That is how we categorized users. So you in your organization, you can have hundreds of users. You can have hundreds of roles created. So for one person, you only want to see a user. For one person, you only want to show a robot. For one person, you want to show only machine. All that is possible. So that entire control, right, access control comes from here. And same way as I said, so this will purely remain within your machine. So nobody else can control your machine, right? So this is purely for you. So for the ease of developer, right, they have given this option. Like you don't have to every time go, as I said, most of the time in your QA, UAT production, you don't even have access to this libraries. So what happens is you can't go and for your own code also, you have to take permission, right? Instead of that, store within your process, right, within your machine. You don't have to rely on anybody else. You're getting me?
So,
Yeah.
so basically, if anybody like organization, if the team lead is prominently having a team members and were RPA developers, right?
Yes.
So the team lead will have an overall access, admin access, and he is supposed
No,
to.
even team lead level, they don't give.
They don't give.
They don't give. See, it's like this in a developer environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is your developer environment. Okay. One person in the team has that admin access.
Okay.
In your QA, UAT, and production,
Hmm.
nobody, not even a team lead project manager, has a admin access.
Okay. Who will have then?
Only there is one person in the administrator team. They'll have access. You have to get your business approval, everybody's approval to get access. And obviously the same question will come. Why do you need that access? Suppose you need it to see something. You want to see some screen here. Okay. You tell an admin team to give you that 2 screens access. Suppose you are given only 1 screen, you request for 2. But they don't give you admin access at all. Nobody gets it.
Right, which is usually the case with most
Usually it's a norm only.
Normal,
Not only
it's a
here,
control
in
check,
every
right?
technology, it's a
Every
norm.
technology they don't give just like that, right? Unless it's
Correct.
required a business case.
So as a developer you have, and as a developer you don't mind also. That even if somebody sees that, right, it doesn't mind. But for others, we don't give it.
So as an individual developer, I still have access to my own project, whatever I'm creating,
Yes,
and which is there in my system. So I become a prone administrator for my own project, right?
Yes, correct. So by default, see, you will have an admin role assigned to you. Even in your developer environment, you are a default admin for yourself. Fine. So that is where this library concept comes. So you can
just working in an agile methodology in this front. So if so many people are working in the same project at the same time, everyone's access on the everyone's got access on the same library, which is being created by the administrator, and then any changes will also reflect on that.
Correct. Yes, it's all instant. See here, there is no hardcore downtime required. All is instant. You can develop, design instantly. You can make it running in production in less than 30 minutes. That's what when we come to orchestrator, we'll see that how we deploy our codes in a real time with the least disruptions.
Okay, so maybe that'll get some more clarity. Yeah.
Correct. So when we come to orchestrator, right, when we come to admin part, you will come to know how with the least disruption your process starts working. Usually, like see, unlike all other this, right? You have 12 hours, 24 hours, a window to do the deployment, right? But that's not the case here.
So for library also, when you're creating a new blank library, you have to give a specific name, or it will take automatically of the original process name which
You
is
can
already
change, that
created.
is in you. You can use a default what you created. See, usually, right, when we create this project, right, what name you see here, right, meaningfully we give it at the beginning. So every now and then, wherever we want to use it, right, we don't have to keep on changing. If you want, you can always change it. There's no doubt in that. But usually we maintain consistency. Because when you create this processes and all here, right, it will take this name only. See, the processes, okay, it will directly take this name that you have created.
Okay.
Though there is an option to change, but then we don't want to change and again ourselves, get confused. So when we design that, we keep it as, realistic as possible.
Okay.
And in the latest version that, this is installed, right? You can even change a process name from here. Previously, we never had that option also. So by default, what you give here is to go into your process. So now they have given that edit option. And coming to see the one more point here, right? Each and everything here, the reason why we restrict the access is for having an auditing purpose. See, when we are using this in a real-time production and all, as I said, banking, we work for so many banking customers. So the data is very crucial. So we don't want anybody to go and modify the data here. And that is why every entry that is created, right, once here, none of them can modify it. Though you might be admin, there are certain functionalities that is purely restricted for auditing purpose. So if you have done a transaction of 1 lakh, means it will be 1 lakh only. You cannot change to 1 lakh 1,000 also. Because that's how you do auditing of a process. And again, in this also, it will show you, if you go to your jobs, right, it will show you here, who was the user who executed your transaction, which machine it got executed, what's the current state, when did it started, when did it end, what was the duration with what it executed, if should there be any error, what was the error, every details are given here, which nobody can edit it.
Okay. So I was trying to create this new blank process, right? So, but I'm getting.
No, you cannot create that now actually. It has its own set of steps to follow. You'll have to create machines first, and then you have to create robots, and then you can come to packages, and then comes your processes.
No. In the studio itself, you shown, right, in the new project.
Correct. Yeah.
So that is what I was trying to create, but that is, I'm just creating one blank.
So you have to give a name. Yeah, you can give anything your name at the moment. So with name and description, you can create it. Fine. And then one more in the new project option, we have something called test automation. So any project that you want to create dummy for testing purpose, right? So they have given this option to create a test automation project. Ultimately, as a developer, we always create a new. In this also, we are going to test it. But for the people who don't come from what we said, design background, who are only going to test as a small part, for them, you simply give this particular sets of information to create a test project.
So since I'm trying to create, it's getting some error. The project.
What is the error?
The project, whatever the name, could not open, found invalid data while decoding.
Okay, we'll check that once. I'll finish this template part and
Okay,
then
sure.
you can share your screen.
Sure.
Okay. And then next we have something called template. See, these all are predefined structured templates given by UiPath. So it is like this. See, you design today something, tomorrow or in your next project, you know that this starting point of my design remains constant. You don't want a design to change, right? That is what exactly these templates are. So they are pre-fitted templates. You can customize based on your requirements. See, for example, if I tell one realistic example, you take an example of this construction industry. And if you take one of the builder among them, See, they might be creating various projects across the India. Today it might be 10-storied apartment, tomorrow it might be 20, after that it might be 50-storied. The concept of their design remains the same, right? That I have to create what we say 5 blocks. Suppose they're taking a same set of land everywhere, so they have to create 5 blocks. So what you do is you create a template where you have 5 sets of boxes created. So your plan will vary based on the, what we say, the directions, everything. So which is okay. So that is what you have to customize. But every time you create you want to start a new construction, you don't go back to your, what we say, your designer and say that, okay, keep on this much piece of land, put this 5 blocks, then you start designing. You save your previous time, right? So that is what these templates are. They are predefined templates which you can customize based on a requirement. It's not that you have to use the same template. You can also create your own sets of template you want. See, for example, I'll tell you one more example. See, you are having one shop. So for your branding and for your shop, right? You want a same set of entrance design everywhere. So do we create the same design every time, or we store that as a template and we customize the internal part? What do we prefer? The look and feel of my entrance, right? It should be same in my, irrespective whichever area I'm going to open, right? It has to be same because it's from a same brand. Maybe the internal design will vary. Your rack, everything will vary based on the size or the area that is available. Correct. So will you prefer, once you create your first store, right, you keep that design and next time you only customize the second half. You don't have to rework on the first part. Is that we do always, or we always keep on designing from the beginning? Which one will you prefer?
We will reuse.
You will reuse it, correct? Yeah, exactly. So that is what these templates are. The templates are meant like you don't want to do same thing again and again. Then these templates will be like a predefined structure. You can customize based on the flow or the design you want to create it. Okay, so among all these templates, right, the one that is really important is this robotic enterprise framework. This we use in all the larger organizations. Okay, it's not for small projects. You don't even have to use this. You cannot even use it for your larger organization, right? This is one of the very important template that we use it. Suppose you want to process 1,000 lakhs of orders in a day, right? This is the template that does the job for us. Why and how will come when we go into that, right? So I'll tell you how this entire template works. Okay.
Okay.
So this is all about your start menu. So this is one that you are going to frequently come. So if any doubts here, you can let me know.
Milind, since it is new, can you just recap the whole thing if time permits?
Sorry, what was it?
Can you just recap the whole thing if time permits? Just whatever we did today.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. First is creating up a local project.
Yeah. See, by default, the location for all the projects will go to My Documents UiPath folder.
Yeah.
So here, your project-wise, all the directories will be created. How many projects you create, that many directories will be listed here. So each project will have its own set of files. Right? So you can open this project files directly from Open, and it will take you to your respective project. Okay? And you always have to open a main file. Main is the starting point of your project. So you open this file, okay, and it opens your project. Once the project is open, right? So if I want to close it, I can close the tool, or see, I can go and close my project from here. Okay. So now you see here, my close is disabled because nothing is open now. My project got closed. So as I said, now I want to open, I can do this from the recent section. So if you click on your most recent project, instead of going to open, it will directly open your project. Okay. So apart from that, we have seen how we can extract or get our projects from our repositories. So repository is nothing but our online storage where we keep a day-to-day backup.
Yeah.
So this is purely for the what we say backup management, and irrespective who is a team member, for the business continuity, this is the most helpful part.
And who decides which repository needs to be saved is from the organization perspective again.
Yeah, that's all from organizer. From where they get a benefit, they might go to that vendor.
Okay, can you? I lost you there. What are the three different types? I mean, it is just different types of repository.
Yeah, SVN is one of the service provider. Next is TFS. The other one is Git, GitHub.
Okay.
So SVN is the most common I have seen in majority of the organization. Now, some of the organization most recently started using GitHub. Some of them has TFS.
But these give the same, I mean, features and everything.
Yeah,
and
almost the same.
One over the other.
No, it's the pricing that varies. The feature-wise, almost all remains same. Everybody has a cloud platform. You can directly view from cloud, and feature-wise, all are same. Might be slight difference here and there, but it's the pricing that changed the entire concept. That's where organization decide whom to go with. And then, as I said, you can create your new projects from here. Okay, so this is every time you want to create a new project, you come and do it from here. And then is a library. So library, we create library whenever we want to create a common process across our, multiple platforms or multiple teams or within ourselves. And then the templates are, pre-default given by UiPath. We can also create our own templates. So these templates are nothing but it's a standard design we customize based on a requirement.
Okay.
Yeah. So now you want to share, Kiran? Okay, no, this is Ramesh.
No, this is mine, I think.
Probably
okay,
Ramesh.
okay, no problem. Yeah. So you can click on download there.
The download studio, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
New project.
You're able to create, Kubir?
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. Maybe I've short of span. So I've just created the file name. Its close is basically disabled here. So open, I'm trying
to see. Yeah, if closed means none of the projects are open at the moment.
Correct. So if I'm trying to open, so I haven't created anything. So it is asking.
Yes, so you won't be able to open anything. So you have to create a new process there.
So the new project is what I have to create, correct?
Correct, yes.
I have to leave in another 2 minutes. Let me try in case it happens.
Sure.
Fine.
Yes, no problem. Others you can share tomorrow, and I'll check that out.
No, it's still creating a found invalid data while decoding is what it is coming. Okay, I'll do one thing. Probably I'll touch base with you offline and.
Sure. You can simply share the screenshot also. Otherwise, I'll check that.
Okay. What is your email ID?
Okay, I'll just ping it. I have done that.
You ping me?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you can share it in WhatsApp also. I don't have any issue. Is it downloaded, Ramesh?
Yeah, it is going on. Another 35 seconds.
Okay, okay, no problem. Yeah, 1 second. It will be loading. So let it load actually. Okay, actually, since you're using from browser, right, you got a different option. If you install Zoom in your machine, right?
Yeah,
You might get
correct,
a
correct. I'm
different
using
option.
browser version. Yeah.
Correct, correct. Yeah. So that there I don't know what are the options.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it started installing. Headphone got lost. Okay.
So now we have come to let us activate community
Yes,
license.
yes. So you have to select on community license.
Okay.
So you are asking about the license thing, right? See,
Yeah,
okay, you can select here the first one, the pro community.
pro community.
Yes. And you have to select stable here, the second option. Yeah, all three are selected. You can click on continue. Okay, see here, if you go to that admin, right, in your orchestrator screen, the backside screen,
Yeah.
you click on admin. There you have something called license. Yeah. So it will be till 2022.
Okay.
So like they usually give for 2 years. You can further extend it also. So
Oh,
there's no
okay.
like worry about the licensing part here.
Oh, okay, okay. So I think this is one tool. I think this is the licensing concept. That is why I think people are using it more, right? And
Yes, yes. No, it's not like because
Prism.
it's free. But it's like, see, because they are giving a free license, right? More and more people are learning and
Yeah,
coming
correct.
to the market actually.
Market, yeah. Now where do I go?
Okay, I think you have to go down. See, there's a UiPath symbol, right?
Okay.
So here,
Now,
yeah. So here you can click on close.
close.
Yeah. So you can see your entire UiPath screen at the back.
Oh, this is the one.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Okay. Okay, so whatever, I think this is what it is, right? So today
Correct. This is what we're doing was
I
today
will
on
just,
this screen.
yeah, I will just practice it. Maybe I will have a question for tomorrow's session then.
Sure, definitely, no problem.